Hello everyone, and welcome back to Midnight Shadows. Today, I'm going to share with you a haunting tale that I experienced myself. I've always enjoyed late-night walks. There's something about the stillness that makes everything feel simpler. I'm a welder by trade and have been doing it for over 40 years now. I live alone on a big farm, just me and my dog, Bosley. The house is too large for one person, but I never had the heart to downsize after my wife, Maria, passed away. My kids moved out years ago, and ever since cancer took her, it's just been me and Bosley. One night, after a long day in the shop, I decided to go for a walk. My property is pretty big, so just a single loop is usually enough to satisfy my craving. The air was cool, and Bosley trotted along beside me. Sometimes I think he likes me more than I like him. I've walked that loop hundreds of times, but as I was heading back toward the house, something caught my eye. I glanced up at the second-story window, the one that looks out from the bedroom Maria and I used to share. For a split second, I thought I saw something move. I stopped dead in my tracks, staring up at that window. There was no reason anyone should be in there. In that room, for years, I couldn't bring myself. I felt my blood start to boil when I thought of a stranger who broke into my house. I won't accept that. I rushed inside. My heart was pounding, and I ran upstairs. The room was empty, like I left it, no sign of anything out of place. I looked everywhere I could imagine, but I couldn't find anything. Yes, I was quite frightened, but I was more angry than anything. I don't take this lightly. I think I just saw something that wasn't there. I stood there for a while, feeling stupid, but I couldn't shake off the feeling that something had happened. The next night, I woke up and I found Bosley growling. He's a good dog. Never bark unless he's got something to bark at. I sat up in bed, listening. That's when I heard the creaking coming from upstairs. It may be just the sounds of my old house, but my mind goes straight to my feet, which comes from right above me. I'm sure you can guess which room is right above my room. I argued for my shotgun downstairs, but I didn't want to go that far. If it gets to it, I'm completely confident that I can hold anything up there with one hand. I took the flashlight and went over it again. You're welcome. The room is intact, untouched. Now my anger began to grow restless. There was something wrong in the house. The next night, I went down the stairs to see the kitchen light on. I know I turned it off before I went to bed. I didn't leave the lights on. There were no more questions. Someone came into my house. I started to panic. I called the police and told them I thought someone might be sneaking around. They went out, searched the house from top to bottom, but found nothing. They were very nice about it, told me to call them back if I needed to, but I can tell them they didn't believe me. The next night was the worst. I couldn't sleep, so I decided to go upstairs and check my bedroom. I don't know why. Maybe I thought it would solve my mind, but when I opened the door, I froze. Clothes were scattered all over the floor. Maria's clothes. I packed them up after she died. They're everywhere now. Things like this don't just happen by accident. And then I saw her. There was a woman standing at the door, staring at me. I can't see her face well, but I can tell she's not Maria. She's too short. I don't know who she is, but she doesn't belong there. I've never been so scared in my life. Without thinking, I ran towards her. She turned and ran down the stairs and out the front door. When I went out, she was gone. I searched for property with B, but there was no trace of her. I didn't sleep that night. Months later, I couldn't sleep. I was constantly worried, believing that I heard footsteps upstairs at night. Every little noise that tickled me. There's a reason why there's a car in the lot that has reservations for employees, so it can't be one of them. I realized that maybe someone's eating in their car, that maybe I've done it sometimes, so I guess it's just a weird sight. To be completely honest, I got the food and I started driving home, but I didn't want to just sit there idly in the car, and I started brainwashing about a good place to hide the food. I live in the beautiful Lassie area, so there were really a lot of choices, but I didn't. want to beat around the bush too much because it was late. The huge nature reserve is on a mountain, and it's basically a huge forest, where you start with a view of the landscape at the top with a view of the city. There's a path around the boundary of the reserve that will take you to a beautiful plateau during the day. After the reserve was closed, even though the road was not accessible to cars, but still a convenient way to the top without walking through the woods. I've been there with my friends since high school. It was kind of a default. When we wanted to be outside, we would talk, smoke, or just appreciate the scene. I'm sorry, I didn't. I went there for a while because I was so busy with work that I thought that going there would bring a necessary nostalgia. When I went to the Ret R parking lot, that was completely empty because it was not a traditional parking lot with a space for cars, but a huge chunk of gravel deviated from one of the parking lots. The roads that run across the border of the reserve, as I said, are actually closed, which means I have to walk from the outside to the observation point before I can turn off the engine. And I find the headlights pulling into the property disturbing enough that there might be someone else here by 2 a.m. And then I realized that what I had seen was an ox cart from McDonald's parking lot. I was 100% sure I parked a little way away, and the engine was turned off. I felt uncomfortable, starting to pour into what was natural if they had followed my window down, and as I could say there's no music coming out of that car. Or at least nothing I can hear after nothing happens for a good minute, or so my fears begin to blur. They're probably doing the same thing. I was completely prepared to run away. I knew Sebastian was thinking the same thing. Finally told us that he was working at night, and he just took off his jacket to reveal a McDonald's uniform. I think because he knew we wouldn't believe him, or else he kept saying that he had come every day after the hour, working to smoke with my friends. While it certainly calmed me down a little bit about this terrible situation, I could tell Sebastian that it was time for us to decide to walk the path. Sebastian stopped and pointed to the trees I had followed, and see the fourth man half hidden. The darkness, he's holding something, but I can't tell what it is. I feel my heart start to beat when he looks at us. He starts to move. That's when we run back down the road. We see him chasing us with 3 other men. Near my heart that beats so hard, I think it's gonna blow. I could hear their voices coming closer, but I didn't look back. We finally got to the parking lot and jumped on our car and the floor. As I was speeding, I could see the men rushing into their car. I felt uncomfortable driving home because I was afraid that I would lead them right to my house, calling Sebastian and tell him that we should meet again on his street. We've had a good start for them, and I don't think we've been watching, but I didn't take any chances when Sebastian and I met again. We're still shocked about what hell just happened. I don't know if they're trying to steal us or worse. I don't know if Sebastian showed me his phone and told me what he did. I didn't know what to do with it the next day. I convinced Sebastian to come back to McDonald's so we could at least report to the staff the next day. We approached a man on the younger side in the hope that he would listen to us, and he told him what happened, and his eyes were wide open. He told us something real in a horror movie. Apparently, his girlfriend also worked at McDonald's and left him a few months ago. He wouldn't accept it and would harass her while she worked and watch her after her shift. Apparently, he was fired, but that didn't help. The police were involved shortly afterwards, and there was a restraining order on the spot. He obviously violated it because he was camping in the parking lot of Sebastian, and I was scared. I don't know why he decided to follow me, but it was obvious. We didn't say a word after jumping the fence. When I turned around, I could swear I saw the silhouette of a person standing in the open window. I still pray that maybe my mind was just playing tricks on me, but I'll never know for sure. My friends and I never went back there together for as long as we remained friends. In fact, I went back to that church myself, but by the time I got around to checking it out again, it was no longer a church. It was completely demolished. I still have no idea what we saw that night. I'm just glad my friends were there to witness it with me. Had I been alone, I might have doubted that this whole thing even happened. If anyone wants to do some digging, go ahead. I was never able to find anything online, but I wouldn't be surprised if that church has a history I don't know about. That's all for this video. What do you think about this story? Don't hesitate to share your theories in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Midnight Shadows, and now it's time to say goodbye and see you next time.